right now we're trying to get to 100 subscribers. So if you haven't done it, please, it would so much help us out if you go over to our YouTube, subscribe, and while you're there, you can watch our videos, all the intro videos for both the Vampire the Masquerade stream and also Blades in the Dark story, which we are up to episode 11, which is amazing, and also the title sequences for both shows. So please, please, please go over there, subscribe, feel free to watch the videos, and if you watch the videos, please like, ding the bell, and we appreciate all the support for those people who have done that, obviously, and all the people who intend to do that. So we love you all. It's been amazing to experience this growth. Welcome to Vampire the Masquerade, Dark City. I'm Doug. I'll be the storyteller for the evening. And going round robin, starting with Lillith, let's introduce our cast.
I'm Angela, also known as Gangrel Kitty, and I'm going to be playing Lillith tonight.
Hello, I'm Ryan, otherwise known as Thy Voice, and I will be playing Herkermer Milton.
Hi, I'm Michael, and I'll be playing Hannibal Wagner.
Hello, I am Xylus, and I will be playing Charlie.
Okay, so a couple quick shout-outs. Once again, we would like to thank Vancouver by Night for all the support in embracing us into this fine vampire community. And tonight, again, we will be attempting to raid somebody doing a vampire stream. More than likely Macabre Derek, because I think that is the only stream that's doing the schedule. But there may be others that I'm not aware of. We'll take a look before we end the show. And for all the fine support coming from Underground Theater, specifically Bill and Andy, thank you so much. We love you. And for those of you who are interested in to my knowledge, the only operating LARP in the United States currently, please check them out. But they're also doing Discord games right now to pass the time while everybody is social distancing. So going further in the rules that, we got wrong or whatever. So last week you may have noticed that Lillith and Hannibal exchanged texts. There was a rule in the book that says that in order to text and those sorts of things, you have to have Blush of Life, the mechanic, activated. That would require a rouse check for most of the individuals except for Herkermer, who, of course, is always blushed. And Hannibal, being La Sombra, I've made the ruling that outdated phones, the press button text phones like the older Nokias and things like that, Hannibal can use without difficulty. Although, to pay homage to the flaw, every once in a while I'll be rolling a die to see if something happens. And of course, those phones being so small, the text will be very brief, as texting was kind of a pain on those things. So there was some feedback on our intro sequence, so that Lillith Hanlon's credit titles were a little hard to see. So our glorious editor here, Michael, went through and remastered it to make it hopefully a little bit more legible or a little bit more readable, stand out a little bit more. And yeah, so if you still have any difficulties reading the credits or anything like that, or any observations or positive feedback, we're more than welcome. But without going any further, just let me get everything in a row here. Let's be vampires. Beginnings. We all have them. From the moment we are born, in pain, into the arms of our loving mother, we feel a void that is soon filled with joy, love, sadness, and all the other experiences of life until our death. Kindred or vampires experience beginnings, a new beginning. The one distinction is that they too are born in pain, but they are born into a wilting memory of what it was to be alive. A memory they must cling to and hold against and guard against the ravings of the beast and a never-ending hunger for eternity. Some watch it erode. Some let the beast taint those memories of what it is to be human. They allow it to become avarice, hubris, and sometimes fulfill themselves with ideas of grandeur to the point where they become monsters and they can barely remember anything that they once were. With that in mind, we return to our story in our dark city. Lillith, you have a job. The next night, you awoke, this time to an empty home, unlike the night previous. You were picked up by Jake, as your boss, Frankie, often does, sends the ambulance around to pick you up just in case you try to dip out. Pulling on your scrubs and normal accoutrement that you carry as a paramedic for for the east side of the river, you follow your route. The normal cascade of pain and suffering that follows doesn't seem to thrill you as much. Or maybe you still get satisfaction out of it from helping John, who has a heart attack failure that you jump-started their heart, to counseling Sally, who seemed on edge enough and almost did that one thing that they would never have been able to take back. But then there was the normal run-of-the-mill type stuff. Cuts from people who got in a bar fight. Stabbings from people who got robbed or mugged. The person who got in a car accident. You find yourself going through these nights of blood and horror at people inflicting pain on themselves through accident, intention, or on each other through hatreds or misunderstandings. It seems as though you still are fulfilled at what you do, but now that you have been embraced into the world of Kindred, met your first other Kindred friends, and being left alone again to go through your daily routine, which was normally comforting to you. You find that you have a dull hung of the hunger, which you managed to keep suppressed. And you follow through the night. You stare in wonderment, not out of amusement at Jake, who seems really bad at his job, often mocking the victims that you help, or doing very crazy things like chasing down that one homeless person that just seems to piss him off. You end your night cleaning out the ambulance, blood off of the metal sheeting, looking at that substance as it falls off of the rear end and drains down into the sewers. With an appealing instinct, fixation, that for a moment you get completely absorbed by. After some short talks with Frank later on, you try to quit, as you have been suggested to do. Frank won't let you. The normal back and forth comes along. Hey, I want to quit. I'm done with this job. It sucks. And Frank's like, no, you're my best driver. You can tell me tomorrow you're going to quit. Don't worry about it. And after a short exchange that doesn't seem to come to any sort of resolution, Frank just says, I'm going to put you down to part-time. But then he lays that subtle guilt trip on you. They'll have to fill it with the new guy who hasn't even been trained in how to repair people. And Jake is going to probably be working a lot of shifts alone, which is very scary. And Walter will have to put up with either horrible, classic rock music of the worst kind, not the best kind, the really bad stuff. Jake in his rantings, or the new guy just not knowing how to get things done. And there's a pang of guilt, sadness, a loss, and you go to sleep that night and wake up. Give me a rouse check for your awakening, please. Nope, no dice. Gamers, man. It's okay.
Don't judge me. How many rouse dice do I need? One?
Just one. The numbered one, preferably, or one of the red ones will do.
I got an onk.
Okay, so you do not, your hunger level does not go up. You still, from last record, are at hunger 1. Am I counting? You find yourself this night, as actually your day off. You had managed to have cut shifts covered earlier in the week. And you find yourself in a car after Hannibal had picked you up and mentioned that he wanted to take you somewhere. After a short stop by Water Street, the figure of Herkermer got in the back seat, and you guys drove. The rain has kind of dwindled down, although the lingering effects of the bad weather still kind of plague the streets. Some wind and light rain. But otherwise, people are out, and it seems to be a normal autumn night. You stop in front of, just up the street, you see a bar with a overhang that's very low, almost touching the heads of the people who are coming in and out of it. You see people crowded, as this rain is still light, but is creating this sort of downpour off of the roof, and they're kind of huddled, smoking cigarettes or vaping. And you see a party bus parked out front. Blue one. It says "Party Buses of the World" on the back. And you notice there's quite a big crowd outside the bar. And there's kind of a silence that kind of envelops the car that you're in. And that's where we'll begin. Hannibal, what do you say to Lillith when you stop the car?
You have a lot of questions, and some of those questions sometimes I can answer, but there are questions about your clan that I can't. So I brought you here to spend some time with Dutch, the gangrel that spoke about your sire. Dutch seems like a trustworthy kindred, at least as far as trustworthiness goes. And this is where him and his crew generally hang out.
There's a lot of people in there tonight.
Yeah, but if I remember correctly, they have space in the back, some private rooms, some private space where you and him could talk if need be.
Do
But-
this.
Sorry, go ahead. Well,
I said, sounds like a plan. Let's do this.
okay. I am, I'll be out here. I mean, unless Dutch wants me to come inside and hang out with the rest of his crew or something. But, I'll go in and make introductions if you feel like that's needed, or do you think you'll be okay on your own?
I think maybe you should make introduction.
Sure. Herkermer, why don't you stay here and I'll be back out in a couple minutes.
I was just going to suggest that I stay out in the car.
Perfect. So I'll get out of the car, waiting for Lillith.
I'll get out of the car and follow you in.
We'll head, presumably we're parked like across the street at like some sort of parking place where we can see the bar, and generally have sort of a good overview of everything going on there. Or at least we would try to.
I would assume it's second nature for you to kind of try to park in a not tactical, but like an advantageous position. So yes, you are across the street. You do have a pretty wide sweeping view of the bar and the hill, or the slight inclining street.
Okay. Hannibal will guide Lillith inside the bar, past the crowd of people, and then walk back where he met. Well, he didn't meet, but he saw Scratches, and presumably Dutch is back there in that area.
Yeah, you walk back and you notice the bar is very crowded. There's quite a few people. The very long. There's no entry or anything like that, but it seems to be much more busier than the last time you were here. Well, the last time you and Charlie were here, I should say. It's a different crowd of people though from the last time you were here when you brought several humans from the party bus to the bar, fulfilling a part of your bargain. You come in and you see Dutch off in the back corner. He's got his arm kind of slung around some very drunk looking men and women. There's like a couple, and he's sitting there and he looks like he's enjoying himself. He has a beer in front of him that does not look like it's been drinking, and he's just kind of carrying on. As soon as you come in, he does notice you, and he's just like, he holds his fingers up to the two people and he picks himself up off the low hanging bench and kind of saunters up to you.
Hannibal will motion for a second like he's reaching for a handshake, and then if it seems like Dutch, that sort of like is second guessing it, he'll bring his hand back down to his side, kind of a thing.
Sure.
But if Dutch reaches his hand for it as well, Hannibal will shake his hand.
Yeah, he'll shake his hand. He's
Okay.
like, "How you doing? Brought your little friend by, I see."
Yeah, you had mentioned that you'd be willing to help answer questions for Lillith, and we had some free time. Hopefully, we're not interrupting anything.
Nah, just a normal night. A little busier since you gave me a great idea. I'll just
Yeah,
tell
I
you
mean,
that.
I'm glad that worked out for you.
Yeah. Got a couple more hang-arounds and, some of the barflies got shooed away.
Yeah.
I think I like this upbeat culture, although the music, can't stand it, honestly. I keep on wanting to, do you know what J-pop is?
Um,
I don't know
Is
what
that-
it is. I can't figure it out.
some sort of pop music.
I don't know. I'd find it out on one of the little Googles, but yeah, I don't like those things too much.
J-pop is some new wave Japanese pop that's in the younger folks' pop culture.
Okay.
See. Well, maybe I'll have you find me some J-pops.
Okay.
Yeah, they seem to be requesting a bunch. I don't know what's going on, but why don't you give me a minute and feel free to come in and enjoy yourself. I think I'll have a little bit of a chit chat, and in a minute Is it just you?
Well, it's Herkermer's in the car and Hannibal's right here. I don't know where Charlie is.
Oh,
Charlie's handling some business, I presume.
I see.
I didn't want to bring the full crew and impose. Herkermer wanted to come by because he has had limited interactions with Kindred. So.
Yeah, makes sense. Most like him do. Yeah. Let me have. We'll take you in the back and have a quick conversation. And go ahead and hang around, and when we're done,
Okay.
We'll chit chat about things. There's probably a lot of things you want to discuss.
I have a lot of questions, yeah.
No problems. Enjoy the drinks on me.
I won't feed, but I do appreciate the offer. Thank you.
No problem. Come on, lady.
All right.
As they go walking off, Hannibal will walk closer to the front of the bar, where the big open windows are, and then he'll point out at Herkermer and give him kind of like one of these, like, come on in.
Herc will put his 90s Game Boy away that he's been playing and kind of get up and walk into the bar. What's up?
Take a booth off to one side that's a ways away from the back, just to give them space or whatever. And when Herkermer comes inside, you'll see Hannibal sitting at an empty booth towards the front, a corner probably where there's a view to the door, a view to the bar, everything like that.
Yeah, you managed to squeeze in to a place. It is quite busy, but after a couple minutes, some people get up and you manage to swoop in. You are sitting at a booth that is rather small, because the individuals who got up, you see, walked over to a much larger one, and it has a small little table that's crowded with empty glasses of alcoholic drinks and so forth. We'll get back to you guys in 1 second. So Lilith, Dutch takes you walking back through a small kitchen. And you see basically the two-sided kitchen. You see two cooks kind of walking back and forth, serving, bar food, and it's sandwiches and French fries and burgers and that sort of stuff. He kind of, pats people on the back as he's, walking behind people and leading you through the kind of tangled mess that a bar kitchen can often become during its busy hours. He leads you into a small back room that has a table set into it. It looks like it's part office and with a if you're familiar with the chef's table sort of deal, but only on inside the office instead of outside. He gestures for you to sit down.
I'll take a seat.
And closes the door and then kind of scoots by because there's not very much, there's only sitting space really at the table. The office is the little desk is like very narrow, and so he kind of navigates his way back to sitting with his back to the wall. So what'd you got questions?
I mean, I have lots of questions. Like, for example, I hear this word gangrel, and I know it's what I am, but what does that mean wider? Kindred world?
Gangrel. Well, it's a clan. You can think a clan sort of like family, but not related, mind you, like distant cousins, that sort of stuff. We aren't obliged to like each other too much. In fact, many of us don't get along, but our clan is Gangrel. There's more than a couple. And people like to call themselves things when they develop new stuff. I hear, you'll hear all kinds of names being referred to different clans or offshoots of our big wide kindred family here. But there are ones that everybody refers to old clans. Some say we were the first. I don't pay much attention to those sorts of things, but history. But our clan said we were the wild ones. We're mostly comprised of folk who are at home in nature, the animal world. We're also pretty close to our killer, as opposed to others. You notice that your little finger talons things went away, right?
Yeah.
That's every clan is a curse of sorts. Maybe it's a distinguishing factor, who knows? Our curse is when we get might angry and we let the beast out, then a little bit more of our animal nature shows, if you know. Your sire was Gangrel, and he made you. That makes you Gangrel. He passes the curse like the infection it is onto you. And now you're in the shithole with the rest of us.
I don't know where to begin with other questions, what to do. I know that we met, what was it, the Red Queen? And we were welcome, sort of? But they don't know me from Kane.
Funny you should say that. Alice welcomed you. she approved of your existence, and, well, I'm sure the rest of your friends will probably have questions about what happened the other night. So I don't want to go too much into detail because I'd have to end up repeating myself now, wouldn't I? But, yeah, that's typically how it's done. We're animals, all of us, not just the gangrel. Monsters, killers. We sort ourselves out by having the most powerful one, the most influential one. They're the ones who are dominant. They're the ones who we have to respect, as it were. Because there's only so many people to go around. And lately in these parts, well, there's a lot of people, but blood's been scarce. Yeah. Safe. Been hard for folks to keep their wells secure. So, we have territories that we claim as our own. And that's pretty universal. Different names for them. Domain, turf. We call it a patch. It's all the same thing. Just not really that different from humans, really, if you think about it. Just with a focus.
Any tips on keeping out of trouble?
Well, understand that we're all vicious monsters. Just understand that trust is not earned easily amongst us, and even then it's fragile at best. You're, how old did you say?
About 3 weeks now.
Yeah, you still have it pretty fresh in your mind what you were. That dies in you. Unless you hold on to it. And you gotta be careful. Beast twists everything up. It will get to work at destroying it. That's all it wants to do. Feed and destroy. First thing it's gonna start in on is you. It's gonna take love, make it dangerous, take trust, make it vicious. And you might not even realize it, that's the thing. So you have what in you, find what you can to remember. Because those memories fade quickly. Especially here.
Okay.
Other than that, I mean, I could tell you a lot of things. I don't want to tell you too much because it's kind of a respect issue. Me and Barada, we kind of go back a little bit. But, and if he chose you and he left you the way he did, it's for a reason. And I don't want to mess with his plans too much. It's kind of like territory in that way. But you need a vice or a shoulder to, well, I don't expect you to trust me, obviously. I would hope to earn it.
Likewise.
So watch out for yourself because there's a lot of things you can't control now in your existence. And just make sure to hold on to what you can. Remember that you're the one who makes the decisions, not that thing inside of you. And But also learn to think a little long term. Might help you out.
All right.
So we'll return now to Herkermer and Hannibal. You find yourself sitting in the bar, having some moments while Lillith is back speaking to Dutch. And again, you find yourself in that sort of awkward silence of people who are supposed to probably talk or know each other but don't really. And we'll leave you there.
After Herkermer arrives, Hannibal will say, Dutch didn't mind us hanging out inside. We just got to give them some space for a bit.
All right. Didn't mind. There are, I will say, things that need to be known, but not by me. They wanted to have a private conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, has anyone ever explained to you what clans are?
Not really. Like I said, I've heard two names, but
Okay.
I'm not really sure what that means.
Clans are like the lineage. Where,
So like a family?
in a sense, yeah. It's a lineage of your blood. I can't say that I know too much about individuals like yourself, but one would presume that somewhere up your lineage there was a member of one of these clans.
All right. Now, is it a polite dinner conversation to talk about these things with other kindred?
Generally, asking someone's clan is sort of a social faux pas in a way. It's that sort of idea. It depends on what sort of company you're in. Or if you feel like you can't trust them, you might ask them what their clan is. Yeah, it just really depends on the situation. If you're having an actual conversation with a kindred and you're just genuinely interested in knowing, and they seem to be engaging with you and willing to talk to you about things, then it may not be so bad to ask. But just asking a person you just met, shaking their hand and then saying, "What clan are you?" By some, it's considered rude. There's a lot of stereotypes and history attached to all of our clans. And so a person might feel overwhelmed by the identity, in a sense, of their clan versus their personal identity, right?
So again, it's more like a family thing. So it may not be the person, but someone may not like the family.
Yes, I guess, yeah.
All right. Out of character, this is a safe space for us to talk.
Yeah, the noise from the music is quite loud, and the small booth in which you find yourself is not the most ideal location for people to sit. Commonly, they're situated in the much larger booths on the other side of the room. So you find yourself kind of in that one alcove where you can talk and you can have a conversation because you're so close to each other, which you are, by the way. Like, you guys are very close to each other because it's a very small booth. you guys can hold a normal conversation, and the noise from both the people and the music will drown out anything, making it very difficult to hear.
So, you mind me asking what clan you are?
If I told you, would you understand what it meant?
No, but that would be the follow-up question.
How about I just tell you what my clan means, and then perhaps one day I'll tell you what its name is?
Sure.
I don't talk about my clan because my clan isn't trusted. My clan was viewed to associate with a group of kindred that are hated and feared, but that are mostly dead now. And so when I mention the name of my clan to those who know what it means, they presume I am one of those people. Very much in that way of I wish to be judged based on my own identity rather than the identity and sins of my lineage. It's not to say I haven't committed sins myself, but
Well, committing sins or not, I don't know you. Seem like you got a good head on your shoulders, and I don't know. Since I don't know the sins of your lineage, for lack of a better phrase, I just get to judge you by you,
sure.
and I'm okay with that.
My fear is not in you knowing Herkermer. My fear in that is you are very candid with what you do and don't know. And I would fear that you would be very candid with someone else, perhaps telling them something about me that I don't want them to know.
Ah, well, if it's about actually keeping secrets, I'm fairly good at it.
I guess in time we would see then.
We would.
About that time, you notice Dutch knocks on the door, Lillith, and say, "Hey." Two people, and he gives a brief description of at least Hannibal. And you tell me you can come on back now. And when you tell him, and a couple moments later, you see a busboy with a white shirt and just pants and a apron on. It's very dirty and greasy. Come up, is like, excuse me, sir. Mr. Dutch wants to said you can come back now. You said you know what that means. I could show you. And
Sure.
and he leads both of you back through the sort of very cramped, narrow walkway that serves the kitchen and into the back room. You
On
find
our way into the back, sorry to interrupt you. I just
Sure.
wanted to be. I'm sending a text message to Charlie and saying, "Are you busy tonight?" Question mark.
Charlie will respond, just looking for information.
Let me know how it goes.
Will do.
And then we'll walk into the back room.
So you guys go walking back in. You guys see again the same narrow, like, sort of office with a chef's table taking a majority of the space. You notice that once you fit in there and file in, and the busboy leaves and the door is closed, that the room is pretty close to exceeding its maximum. Although there is a small amount of space over in the corner that is still kind of open if for people to stand and that sort of stuff. But Dutch welcomes you in and has you sit.
I'll sit down and say to you.
Lillith here had questions about questions about the other night, and I figure, I'll just wait until we were done. Well, I think we're done for now. There's gonna be a lot of questions, but you'll get answers along the way. But rather than repeat myself, I just wait and keep her in suspense, I suppose. So what questions bring you here tonight, Hannibal? And who's your friend? Is this this is the Herkermer, right? Is that what your name you said? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Herkermer Milton at your service.
You made quite an impression the other night, let me tell you that.
Well, thank you.
So go on then. What you got for me?
I didn't want to take up too much of your time.
Sure.
I appreciate you speaking to Lillith. Just because there's things I don't know about your clan that presumably you can illuminate.
Yeah. Most of those things take time. I think right now, the questions that we answered are probably fitting. The best ones for right now.
Sure.
There'll be others, of course. But I can't answer everything for her because, again, like I said, it's kind of a respect thing. As he says, he looks over to Love. I know her sire, so, I best not disrespect, too much. But I don't think you would mind me answering a couple questions for you and your friends. Gestures to Hannibal and Herkermer. Besides, you did me a solid the other night and gave me a good idea. It's probably going to keep me fed for quite some time. That is, if I can find J-Pops.
I don't want to pry too far into that, but based on what you're saying, are you implying that Lilith's sire is specifically keeping her in the dark on purpose?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's
I was unsure if it was that Lilith's sire was irresponsible or if it was intentional.
Well, it certainly was intentional. Gangrel have a way. It's not secret or anything. It's not all of us, mind you, but we tend to embrace and drink and drop, as it were. It's kind of a calling to endurance. We don't, as a culture, I should say, tend to tolerate weak ones. We leave those to fend for themselves, and if they live, they live. No different from animals, really. A lot of animals do such things. As far as Barada, maybe his intentions, maybe he has intentions. I don't know. I suspect he does. There's a reason. He's that kind of kindred. But, other than helping out, I'm sure he wouldn't mind me helping Lilith out a little. But there's a line. It's just letting you know that I may not be as helpful as you would always wish, of course.
What's the price?
No price. Consider me paying back Barada. We used to run together back in the day. So I figure one way or another I owe him, and that means that by extension, at least until he says otherwise, I would owe you. That automatically puts you in my book, so don't worry about paying me back.
I appreciate.
Good.
If anybody else has questions, I have a few, but I'm sort of it may be questions that others might ask.
Mm.
I
Lillith
do
had
have
said,
a lot of.
sure.
So, let's start from the bottom. So we have this Red Queen that we call Alice. Her name's Alice, right?
Her name's Alice. The Red Queen. The name Red Queen was well, Krieg started to call her that shortly after she got pushed into power by folks. And you have to understand, everything was crazy back then. You know, we had just gone through a revolt. We had just got done fighting against a prince who wanted to assert dominance over his newly found princedom. He was looking to, well, he didn't have the strings that the other prince had before the other prince went away the dodo, as it were. So when he came up, and he was a little extra harsh on things. He tried to be forgiving, I could see that. He made a couple announcements. He reversed his policy on us anarchs. Turned sour, though, as they always do. I think it was more the rest of the Kindred than in the Camarilla than it was the prince, maybe. But anyway, things go as they go, and, well, anarchs are known to revolt. And it only took one special Kindred to come along and stir shit up against him, and she was a fine leader. But bright stars, they fade quickly. Hunters took her out. Word is that it was a Kindred who pulled the eyes of those who would hunt us onto her. That's got a lot of folk around here scared ever since. Anyway, Red Queen got pushed into power in her wake. Trying to keep things together. As often things like that go, it was a lot of violence, you can imagine. And Mr. Krieg, the rest of his, well, we call them the indulgents. They're all out for themselves. They don't give a crap about any cause or ideas or any of that. Krieg started calling her a tyrant. Name Alice, the entire Alice in Wonderland thing. Red Queen, you get it, right? You know, he's trying to poke fun. He thought he was being smart and witty. He didn't know Alice like I do. She took to it. She took to it hard. I used to say she used to be different. There's some of her still left, but not a night that goes by that I don't see get a little bit closer to that trigger. A little bit more angry. She's a Bruja. It's her clan. They're known for their anger, their ferociousness. They're the first ones to call you out if you need to be called out. And you never want to face one in the streets without some backup, let me tell you, because they're vicious in a fight, too. They got an anger inside them. Most keep it well under control. They learn to live with it, channel it. Some feed it, use it. I think that's what Alice has been doing more of late. So we all call her the Red Queen now.
So this side, the east of the river is Anarch. The west of the river is Camarilla.
We're led by the Anarch movement. We're a movement, not a government. That makes sense. But really, on the east side of the river, it's pretty much anybody who's not Camarilla. Or the Tower, as you might hear it, kind of common. Tower calls itself the government. They are the ones who are imposing order on the rest of us lessers. And they're pretty effective at it for the most part. They use power pretty much as good as anybody. But they used to open their doors. I guess it goes hand in hand with being a self-imposed Kindred rulership, is you should probably have people join you to recognize your authority, right? Well, they closed their doors a little while back. Rumors are, well, once again, hunters. This technology is creating all kinds of messes for us all around the world, and as a policy, they don't let people in too much anymore. And some people have left. A lot of clans left. Large portions. Almost all the Bruja all left from the west to the east. Even before the revolt, they started going. Now, to my knowledge, there's only one left over there. Nosferatu, same way. That's another clan. They left. Although some still remain, a little bit more than the Bruja, of course, but so they're shutting down the hatches, and to those who don't remember, that's their way of leaving us the rest. They're gonna hold up until this fire. Hunters and, well, it's what do they call it? Inquisition. The burning times, some say, are on us again when humans, realize our existence, hunt us down. Mostly because of the technology. So there we are. Anarchs kind of watch over the rest of the unwashed masses, as it were. Some call themselves unbound. Some just don't care. Some are anarchs or call themselves anarchs, but really aren't much of anything, and some hold to the cause, whatever cause that may be.
Clan is Krieg.
Krieg's hative. He doesn't have a clan. They don't have well, he has a lot of hatred towards Kindred society or anybody who would impose it.
Why is that?
Well, no society will ever allow him or the rest of the hative or thin bloods, for that matter. So, makes sense if you may think about it. Be out for yourself and be your own ruler. Why would you ever subject to an authority that just immediately make you an outcast in one way or another? I can't say I blame them. Even anarchs do it.
Yeah, about thin bloods. What all do you know about a thin blood?
Not much, to be truthful. There's quite a bit more, I reckon, here than elsewhere by just kind of the ear of it. Mostly on the count that Alice tolerates them. You, I should say. Sorry, not used to talking too much of you. They could come poking around gatherings every once in a while. Most Kindred here don't associate with them. I think that's dangerous, honestly. Don't ever ignore somebody, even if you think they're a threat, especially if you don't think they're a threat. Always keep your eye on them.
Yeah.
But, yeah, other than, most take to the idea that thin bloods are, well, you guys got a lot of things going on that we don't understand, especially us old folks.
True. How old are you, if you don't mind my asking?
Well, let's just put it this way. There wasn't light bulbs.
Oh.
There are not too many individuals around here that are as old as I am. I kept it that way because, well, I just don't make a bother. I mind my own, keep my ear to the ground, and, you know, every once in a while I'll support a cause, but I generally try to remain neutral. This is Switzerland. At least in my opinion. I don't make too much bother. Individuals who bother me don't come around too much, otherwise, well, they know better.
So, what's the oldest thin blood you've ever met?
Oh. Can't say, more than 20 years.
Were they like an old man?
No, he was pretty young. Looking anyway. Like I said, I don't understand a lot. I mean, so there's a lot of myths and rumors about you. I would use that if I... A lot of us don't understand it, and that's the reason why we fear you and also treat you like crap.
Well, I appreciate you not treating me like crap.
Ain't no bother to me. I understand that, you know, you don't have to be the most powerful person in the world to take somebody down. In fact, it's usually the little guy you gotta watch out for.
Well, then keep your eye out for me. I got no ill intent.
But I reckon there's probably at least a dozen or more, to my knowledge. I mean, there could be more. Like I said, you mostly keep to your own circles. You only see one or two. Rowdy comes to just about every gathering. Poor guy. I swear to God, you were the first people who even talk to him. Normally, he goes up and talk to Kindred. They just ignore him as soon as they see the thing, you know?
Yeah, well, I got one of them. Why not talk to him?
He always wants to go for rides on his bicycle. Silly guy. I don't know how much he's gonna last. But I suppose he doesn't bother anybody too badly, so maybe we'll just keep him around for a while.
This might not be something you want to get involved in, but I figured I would ask. What do you know about Cole?
Last I told you was about as much as I knew. Cole, his crew, folks who manage territory in and around the hospital, gotten lazy. Rumor has it. Haven't been protecting their territory from poachers and things. Not that there's been many, mind you. Most people don't like to test defenses without good reason. Cole, he was one of these folks who came over from the Camarilla. Took the patch around the hospital. As Cole's, his crew's not too big. I know he manages the construction company. He has like 4 or 5 folks. Like, you know, him and his 2 children. He's a Toreador. That's another clan. And one of these other people came over. I think they were Tremere or something. I don't know. And I did hear about Nosferatu that he had hooked up with. Real annoying feller from what I understand. Scratches was telling me that, because after you asked, I was doing some poking. The only one who's been really seen in a little while is the Nosferatu feller. He manages the crack house I was telling you. Or it's like a drug den or something. Apparently he treats it like an open feeding ground or something. I don't know what he's been doing lately. He's annoying. Doesn't talk to other Nosferatu, which is a little bit more than Scratches would normally tell me. So it tells me that he's probably not the most nice feller. Other than that, I don't know much, to be honest.
So based on what you said, I take it that you take your identity as sort of a Switzerland very seriously.
Pretty serious.
You don't necessarily care about all the rumors and things going on.
A lot of things you hear about, and I do think it's pretty odd. Normally you would know something about what, especially if you're crying. But yeah. Can't say I do. It's a kind of a more rarity, really. But I do mind my own business. I just keep my eyes out. Something big happens or something that might pertain to me or my own, that sort of thing. Every once in a while, people come to me, want some information. I'll go looking for them. I have my ways, that kind of thing. But other than that, I don't really get involved. And I'd appreciate it if you came here, you didn't bring any involvement with you.
Yeah, of course. Well, unless people have some other questions, I don't want to take up too much of your time.
Of course.
Let you get back to your party, as it were.
Yeah. Real busy. Gotta find me those J-Pops.
I do have one other question.
Sure.
Me being a thin blood, is there anyone in particular that I should avoid? Like, that just absolutely hates thin bloods.
Oh, well, there are a lot of folks who hate thin bloods.
And also, who is this person named Prince?
I can explain that somewhat to you.
Oh,
but if Dutch wants to explain it,
I'll leave it to you.
Sure.
But as far as people who hate, people you should avoid particularly, well, just generally because they might be interested, I would probably be on guard. At some point they'll come calling to you, I'm sure. They do for most anybody and most newcomers, but if they do come calling, I'd be on your guard around a Desh.
A Desh? What do they look like?
I think he's from Hall or something like that, somewhere in that area in India. But they all wear these robes. They're all in some weird cult. They call themselves now Ministry of Thought. They have a way of making sense out of really silly ideas. Just be on your guard with them.
All right.
They can be useful from now and then, though. So don't just cancel them out because they, under circumstances, can be used. Most folks can learn how to use them. I think that would be the last piece of advice I give you.
Sure. Well, thank you for your time.
Sure.
And Hannibal will stand up, shake Dutch's hand as he stands up.
Jeez.
And then start heading out.
Herkermer will also stand up and offer a hand for a handshake.
Yeah, and he shakes your hand, actually, pretty honestly.
Okay.
I'll
Good to meet you.
Oh, no, clan, we got hug.
Okay, I'll awkwardly reach in and give him a hug.
It gives you the polite hug, but not like a full embrace or anything. Yeah, just like it's hey, don't worry about it. Welcome to the club. And he sends you on up out of the way. We're gonna turn now to Charlie. Charlie, you have been spending the last 48 hours, those of you who've been conscious, kind of a frantic search, looking over hospital paperwork, making calls about people who know about this, whatever they can find out about the Portview construction company. You are sitting at your desk. Before we begin, though, actually give me a rouse check for hunger. And I forgot to, Herkermer and Hannibal should probably give me one too, before I go too much further.
I just did, and I passed it, so I didn't gain any hunger.
All right, good.
I rolled a 3, so I gain a hunger.
Okay, so that puts you at 2, correct?
Yes, it does.
That is a 10 for me.
Okay, so you do not go up in hunger. All right. So you find yourself sitting in your office. You had in the last week you've had your office moved from the west to the east, so you could be better in touch and accommodate with the ongoings of the west office. And your excuse, of course, was you wanted to be closer to the research and that sort of stuff. But you find yourself in a much smaller office than you're normally used to, instead of the big, broad, spanning office room that overlooks the downtown area of the city. You're kind of in an enclosed space. It's still fairly big. It's about 15 by 15, and you have this large desk. Not as much sitting space and that sort of stuff than you're used to, and no windows, and no view to speak of, being in the basement. You have all of these papers strewn out from construction records and project manifests and sort of accounting details and some notes that you've scribbled down from personal conversations that you've had both tonight and the night previous. You've been kind of frantically trying to organize all the things, and then there's a lot of questions that have been answered or that have been raised while looking through this. You're deep in the analysis of all these facts that you've found, and you hear a knock on your office door.
Who is it?
You see a figure, female, middling in height, about 5'5.5", or 5.5 feet tall, 5.5, 5'6". Red hair with a very freckled face, very familiar to Devaney, your friend. She pokes her head in like impishly and is like, "Hey,
Devaney."
Getting in here, not hard at all. I'm just saying, your security, people suck. How you doing?
Doing all right. Would you like to come in?
Yeah. And she just walks in like she owns the place. She's wearing casual wear. She's kind of wearing sweats in a sweater vest. Looks like she was probably out running or something like that. She's carrying a key card that of her former employment, and she looks at you. She's like, "So what happened?" And she sits down. You were totally living in a penthouse, and now you're living over here in Shittown. Is this because of the thing?
Yeah.
So how did that go? Weren't they supposed to tell you stuff, or I thought it was going to be a good gig for you.
No.
Are you okay?
I'm all right. But there are complications.
Oh, you gotta like work more hours? I don't understand how this thing works, but like seriously, like, is everything okay?
I don't know how much I can
Oh,
explain.
oh, I get it. Like secret society type stuff. Trust me, fully unlocked.
There's more than one secret society. Imagine that. And the one that I was trying to get into didn't accept me. So I am now petitioning to join another.
Oh shit. So is this like, you gotta fill out a form and wait a couple weeks or something like that, or like, address pending approved?
No. This has a lot more to do with, I don't know, things that
Are they gonna like make? Are you gonna like be in like invited in like one of those rich, like the mob or something like that, and have to kill somebody as a proof of your loyalty?
that could happen.
Shit. I'm watching YouTube like way too much. Like all these conspiracy videos and things like that now. Oh my god. Oh, your wife has been driving me nuts, by the way. Or ex-wife, I'm sorry. Like,
Why?
she's fucking just calling out of nowhere. Like, wondering where the fuck you are and where you live now and whether or not, like, is something going on, if you're dating some old lady.
No, I'm not dating some old lady. I'm not dating at all.
She said she saw you two hook up.
She sees what she wants to see.
You're dating an old lady, aren't you?
No, I'm not even allowed to see the old lady anymore.
Oh shit. Is that like a Romeo and Juliet type of thing, or is that like a
That's like a she's the one who made me the
Oh. Okay. Well, I just wanted to check on you because you just like fucking disappeared, asshole.
Oh yeah, well apparently that's what happens when the person who makes you up does it against someone else's rules.
Oh shit.
So
This is
apparently
crazy.
we both had to leave town, to be safe from the vampire mob.
So what happens if like they decide they don't like you? Is there like a vampire witness protection?
I'm pretty sure they'll just come over here with their crucifixes and steaks and garlic.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's pretty serious.
That's crazy. Hey, I have a question. Speaking of hookups, lab girl, she's single?
Why, are you interested?
She's totally. It's like the glasses and the lab coat. Totally. Come on.
I've got her personnel file.
Help a buddy out. Come on, Oh, that's a little creepy. I don't want to be like stalker level. I mean, like, I just want to like, hey, I have a friend. Maybe, All right. Anyway, I'm not going to bother you anymore. I'm just saying, call your ex-wife at some point, and because she's just driving me nuts, and she's not going to quit. You know her. So, good luck with the thing, and call every once in a while. I'm serious. Like,
Yeah.
okay.
You haven't talked to anybody else, have you?
Oh no! Who would believe this? I stayed
Just
off the phone
for your own sake, please.
Oh yeah, no,
Keep it
totally.
a secret.
Mum's the word. I got it. Don't worry, it's on lock. I ain't telling nobody. I just,
Alright.
I mean, it's fucking weird, like.
He looks down at a sticky pad, and he writes down some info.
You get a text, by the way, from Hannibal. The text from previous.
And he'll take the sticky note and hand it over to Devaney. It's the lab assistant's name.
Oh, hey. All right. See if I can go spill a sample. You take it easy. Take it easy,
Yeah.
chum. Hey, don't look so mopey. You're always like mopey. Stop it. Stop being a wimp. You're it's fucking awesome. Just don't
It's
don't
not
eat.
as awesome as you would think.
Just don't eat me or anything.
Get out of here.
Okay, bye. Jeez. And you hear her like walk off. You hear some chit chatter in the other room, like as she is talking with Amy, right? Who's doing late night lab work like usual. It's like, oh hi, you can barely hear the conversation, but you soon tune it out, just kind of chuckling under your breath or something, like.
Mm-hmm.
And a little while later, you're joined by the rest of the crew, who I assumed had exited, joined the car, and driven over to the hospital to pick up Charlie.
Hannibal would have asked where Charlie would prefer.
Oh, sure.
Just because, like having a bunch of random people come in might make it look weird for
Yeah.
him. So,
Okay, so you get a text from Charlie, or from Hannibal.
Yeah. Charlie will say he has some more paperwork to fill out real quick. But otherwise, you're free to park near where we did the body thing.
oh, so like down in the parking place.
Yeah.
All that. Okay, sure. Yeah. Yeah. Hannibal will pull into there and then park.
Okay. Oh, you're muted.
After a little while, Charlie will walk out with a docket of information. Like a file.
So you see Charlie, as you come walking out, you see Hannibal's car, or a car driven by Hannibal, sitting in the one of the parking spots that's empty. They're, in the car, you see Lillith and Herkermer. What do you do?
He'll kind of look around and then walk over and get in the car.
Okay. Charlie gets in the vehicle. Does
Well,
go ahead.
oh, go ahead.
I was going to ask if Charlie has any sort of look on his face, if there's like anything that they can pick up off of him, because he was carrying the file and such. But go ahead, Hannibal.
He has a look like he's somewhat still amused from the conversation he had with Devaney.
Mm-hmm.
So he looks like there's been some sort of levity. But then, as soon as he thinks about the file, his demeanor goes back to something very serious.
Okay.
And as he gets in the car, he hands the file over to Hannibal.
So we'll say we're still in the parking lot. Hannibal will start to thumb through the file.
Sure.
What's that?
This is all the information I could find out about Cole. The construction company he runs.
I did a little digging on Cole as well. What am I seeing in the file, though, Doug?
So you see in the file there's several from the hospital side that the Portview has been managing renovations for the hospital and the nearby medical campuses for a very long time. Recently, as far as recent back as 6 years ago, they started concentrating a lot of their starting a lot of projects on sub-basement areas and basement foundations, that sort of stuff, which there's a lot of reports from a couple weeks ago that you have started more or less questioning whether or not they needed to be done, if they were cost overruns. Somebody audited and was like, why was this being done? Seems like a huge waste of money. You notice that about 7 months ago, most of those projects that were focused in exterior renovating, remodeling, reinforcing foundations and such kind of stopped or got delayed for some reason on the construction side of things, on the company's side of things, as well as around about that time, ever since then, about 7 months ago, there's been a lot of complaints. You see administrators, official complaints, formal complaints about labor crews not being on time, about staff shortages from the company, like not finishing projects on time or just generally acting in a disgruntled manner. Some of the reports, about messing around on the job and things like that, just general things. It looks like there's a memo from the administrator to Charlie talking about how it seems like the company's kind of fallen apart from the inside, and they may start looking into other companies soon to handle their renovations and the considerable demands that they need from construction companies.
The current owner project manager is Janet Cicero.
Yeah, you find that information as well in there.
I figured that might be a good place to start looking.
Yeah.
Did something happen? Am I coming into something here that needs to be explained to me?
No,
Everyone's a little.
Yeah, we were plotting your imminent demise.
we
Well, if you're
had
gonna
a
do it, just do it already, because I'm.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Who's?
Oh, that was a joke. That was a joke. Okay.
Yeah.
What were you
Here-
trying to say, Lilith?
Oh, we just had a meeting with Dutch and went over some questions, but you seem very emo,
Emo.
Charlie. Yeah,
Why?
because you wanted to get killed.
No, I'm just expecting it.
It's very pessimistic of you.
I don't know. I think that might keep him
Realism.
safe.
Yeah, that's fair.
Considering attempts on my unlife as it is have already been made several times.
Interesting. They must suck. Because you're new and, well, not newer than me, but you're still new and they can't kill you. So that's kind of weird.
Trust me, it's not for lack of skill on their part. It has always been on luck on mine.
Well, better lucky than good, right?
Not necessarily. I'm a little bit closer than I would have liked. Anyway, I hope you don't mind this, Lilith, but I've put a petition through on the internal hirings board. If you want it, I have offered a transfer to my division.
Okay.
It's
I
up to
mean-
you.
What does that involve?
It means that I'd be able to help you hide your nature while also maintaining your financial status.
Okay. If Frank accepts it.
Hannibal turns on the car and starts driving.
Sure.
You guys can keep talking. I'm just letting you know that's happening, so we're going to start driving.
Okay. Where's your? Before we resume, where are you headed? What's the direction you're? Where are you
I
going?
am headed to the crack house.
Okay. So continue.
Actually, that was going to be my next question. Where are we going?
Based on what I've seen in the file, and I'll have handed the file over to someone else as I started driving, basically. I was presuming that I wasn't driving while I was reading. I did some of my own digging, and based on what Dutch said and what Charlie's found and what I heard, I think a good place to start would be this den of iniquity.
Are we gonna get attacked?
There could be a fight.
I should probably bring a gun.
I have a few guns in the car, don't worry.
Okay.
Is there any other conversation that takes place in the while you guys are on your way over to the destination that Hannibal's going?
I have a conversation that I do want to start, but it might wait until after we have the interaction at the drug house.
Sure.
Also, I don't know how long the conversation I'm going to have is going to take, so...
Sure. Okay. Well, with that to do, you guys drive this. The crack house is not that far, because still being within the 9-block radius. And as you drive down the hill, that it kind of takes a sharp dip. You see very awkwardly, which some of you who have been kind of poking your head around or are familiar with the area, like Charlie or Herkermer, and even Lillith, recognize the eyesore that stains the hill. The house, the den of iniquity. And we are probably going to go on break. The house on Pearl Street. What Hannibal referred to as the Den of Iniquity. Most of you are familiar with it, at least Lillith, Charlie, and Herkermer, in the very short time that he's been surveying the territory, have noticed this house. The house on Pearl Street sits on a plateau before the hill descends down, almost plummeting into the ocean, and the old port district that awaits it. It is an old remnant of a time when houses here were built in such grandeur, and has since become a dilapidated ruin of itself, sitting 3 stories tall, with a very tall chain link fence and overgrown grass in the front, with a large porch deck. The windows are shut from the world. A blanket hangs over one. A plastic bag kind of fills a stopgap of a window pane that was broken a long time ago. And through the various nooks and crannies and cracks in the house, you could see a dingy, pale yellow light, the hints of the sins that are being committed behind its doors. The back of the house, sitting more on the hillside, has a large staircase, wooden and ramshackle, that kind of winds its way down the hill of the property amid the tall grass and cars and burnout shells that have been parked and left on cinder blocks and propped and keep from rolling down into a garage with a shed that is leaning adrift against it. The place does not look like it's being kept well. Charlie and Hannibal, I'm going to need an investigation, and either your choice of streetwise or investigation. And don't forget to substitute your hunger dice, please.
What was the stat that you wanted?
Intelligence?
Intelligence, okay, because you said investigation twice. So.
Oh, I said investigation, yeah. I was being smooth up until that point. I ruined it.
It's all good, buddy. And this does include hunger die, yes?
Yes.
Okay.
You substitute your normal hunger dice. The difficulty for this test will be 2 successes.
My streetwise and investigation are identical in level, so
Sure.
I will just be using streetwise.
Okay.
I got 3 successes.
Okay. And Charlie?
I got an onk with the 2 stars and a normal onk,
Mm-hmm.
and nothing on the red die.
Okay. So you made your successes. The onk with the 2 stars is a 10, or so that counts as 2 successes. So you got total 3 successes there.
Okay.
The normal onks are a success. He got special dice, ladies and gentlemen. So
Yeah, I'm having a little bit of a hard time telling what they are now.
it takes a second, but yeah.
It's all good. I'll get it.
So both of you succeed with the same margin of error, or margin of success, I should say. Both of you notice out in the front. Now, Charlie, like you have a hit or miss sort of history, being more recently taught than Hannibal, as at the telltale signs and what the meanings of Kindred graffiti. But you notice along the private property signs, there is a sort of a stick figure sort of drawn, bleeding out, and then there is a worn, ratty teddy bear sort of stuffed through the fence, kind of in a way that is open, feeding towards the little blood drops that are kind of like the really large blood drops that are kind of, and normally you know people will pass it by, they'd notice maybe the teddy bear, but they wouldn't notice anything else. So it's kind of hidden in plain sight sort of thing. The meanings of which is that this is what Charlie would term as, you think it seems like a rack. That's the sign for rack or feeding area. And Hannibal, because you're not as familiar with that, the notion, but you are familiar with feeding areas, it definitely is a place to feed. It's an invitation place used in your circles. It's like it's okay to come here and feed. Whereas Charlie has more of a political understanding of it, perhaps.
Charlie will kind of look up to Hannibal and mention the sign. Does that mean what I think it means? It's a rack of a sort?
A rack is a place where Kindred can feed, yes?
Yeah.
Then yeah, that's at least the meaning I draw from it.
I thought that the Red Queen had stated that there were no racks here.
I think the meaning of that was that the Red Queen was saying there are no public racks that she has announced, but individuals who hold patches can choose to determine spaces if they wish within their territory to allow others to feed, potentially. That might be what we're seeing here. So Hannibal will do the sort of drive-by like we did where we noticed that. We'll go down another block or so away from it, and then we'll park the car. Either in a way where people don't notice it, or in plain sight where it will blend in a matter of speaking.
The rest of the houses on the street are fairly nice, and by comparison, but it's also interspersed in with some small business buildings and things like that. So most of the street, though, seems fairly vacant. It's at night and people are in their beds. There's not much lights on, that sort of thing. The offices, of course, are closed for the evening. You notice that pretty much the house has no discernible observers or anything like that. Nobody keeping watch or anything. The lights on the house, of course, are in, like I said, though. You do find a parking spot. You crawl in on the side of the street, which is fairly easy to find, as most of the parking here is occupied by businesses and things like that.
A distance away from the house, yes.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Just checking.
Are you just leaving sight, or are you keeping it within sight? You're just driving down the little plateau, because it kind of plateaus around. You can quickly lose distance of it if you go too far. So, are you parking within sight, but just very far, as far away as you can be, or are you trying to just keep a distance, like block, 3 blocks?
We'll say the first one, the first option.
Okay.
So within sight, but a distance away.
You managed to find a place about 1.5 blocks away. Let's say that.
Okay. Once we find that spot, I'll pull in.
Sure.
Turn off the car, keys in the pocket, step out, go to the trunk, and then start to pulling my jacket off for a moment. I'll start putting on all of my my gear carriers, right? And then I will start to pop open the boxes, the trunks in a sense, inside of the trunk that hold all my weapons and their protective cases and things like that. And then I will start to basically arm myself with my various weapons that I have.
Okay.
Of course, trying to make sure that there's an extra one, at least for Lillith, who mentioned they needed a weapon, and then maybe an extra weapon or two if Herkermer or Charlie want one.
You could produce enough for 1 pistol for each one of the other members of the coterie, and also you can carry 2 pistols yourself, and you also have a let's say a short like a saw, the handles sawed off, a stubby grip shotgun if you want, or you could take a full-on rifle if you really want, but that would be very difficult to conceal, of course.
Yeah, I'm expecting more close range, so probably the sawed-off shotgun is the better route than the actual rifle.
Sure.
So I'd probably bring the shotgun with.
Yeah. Okay.
And the pistols, of course.
Yeah. That one you could sling. It has like a little roper that you can sling around your arm and then put your jacket over it, so it can just be carried sidelong with you and be very conceivable.
As the other members of the group get out, I'll ask them if they wanted a weapon or something.
Charlie mentions that he still has the one that you lent him the other night.
Okay. Is it doing okay on ammo?
I haven't used any.
I mean,
And Charlie will quickly weapons check.
Herkermer?
I mean, if you got a piece you could spare.
I do. And I'll grab out one of the extra like hip holsters or something, and then pull out one of the pistols, check it really quick, put it in the holster with safety on, of course, handing it to Herkermer. You know how to use one of these, right?
Yeah. You see Herkermer work with it. Just kind of give it a check over, looking at everything. He's got good trigger control going on, so he's not, he looks like he's held a gun before.
Okay. And then I'll do the same thing for Lillith as well.
Lillith shows that she's obviously been training using firearms, but seems less comfortable, I would think, handling one. And the piece that you hand her is a Glock, so it's much bigger than her like small revolver, a stubby little revolver that she normally carries for protection.
I would say if you're uncomfortable with this, based on the way that I'm gauging how she responds to it, like you don't have to draw it unless you absolutely need it. I just tend to favor firearms because they don't breach the Masquerade.
That's fair.
Okay. After that, closing the trunk, doing like starting to slowly head on that way, kind of checking the perimeter, trying to keep in mind just in case things have changed in that time that we were getting ready and heading over there.
Sure. Give me both, because both you and Charlie possess unseen sense. Can you give me your resolve plus? Got the skill.
Isn't it Auspex?
It's just it's Auspex in this edition. You
Yeah.
just use the discipline rating. That's right.
And we add the hunger die to this as well. It's pretty much everything other than like willpower and humanity.
I will roll for you, but I will not use your hunger dice because that's my role, and I don't want you to. So that way, if you see something, and whereas like Charlie sees something versus you, you're not aware of how well you succeed at seeing things. Does it make sense?
Okay. I mean, if you want to roll for me, you can.
Mhm.
Otherwise, because I'm actively scanning, I have no problem rolling the dice for myself. Whatever works for you.
I'll roll for you. It's fine.
Okay.
So resolve plus Auspex, please.
So my resolve is 4, my Auspex is 1.
Grab the numbered dice. Okay. And Charlie?
Resolve 2, Auspex 1.
Okay. Going forward, you don't see any. Certainly, there's, like I said, no one out and about at night. You go walking up to the house, approaching the house slowly and cautiously, of course. You do notice that there does appear to be an animal, which your senses, both of you, manage to see that it is some sort of ghoul. Is a bird that is kind of perched on top of the house, just kind of observing and watching.
Try to talk to it.
The house is 3 stories high, right? So it's if you're talking to it, you're going to be saying something rather loud.
Oh, never mind.
I think it's a ghoul. There's no point in probably talking to it. Is someone willing to? Is there an alleyway behind the house, Doug?
The property fence runs up against another property, which is like a wooden gate, much more shorter. But it runs right up against another like sort of 1-story sort of roadhouse looking thing that looks like it was renovated out to be some sort of business of some sort. So it's short answer, no.
So there's not an alley behind the house, like between the different houses?
If you go down the hill, there is an alley that leads, that does also have an entrance to the garage. There is an alley that runs the length of the hill at the bottom, but you have to go down the hill because the property is rather long. So if you go around past the house, because it sits on the corner of the block, if that makes sense, right? Where it's the main road that you guys came off of.
Oh,
yeah,
sure. So just a quick clarification, because that was just a tiny bit confusing. So
Sure.
there is an alleyway behind the house. The house is on the corner, and we can't enter the alley from where we are unless we go all the way down the hill and come back.
Well, you could go around the house back to the main street that you pulled off of in order to get to park where you were when you guys drove by it slowly. You could drive. You can get back in the car and drive, or walk down to the next road that leads down the hill and reach the alley from that end, presumably, because you can see you could look over and you could see it down the hill, like in between the properties and things like that. You just can't reach it, if that makes sense. You have to actually travel down the hill on the either.
Oh, so it doesn't meet whatever road this house is on the corner of, because I presume it's on the corner of 2 roads.
Yeah.
So the alleyway doesn't connect to that side road.
Yeah.
Okay, I get what you're saying now. Okay. But someone could potentially walk to the alley through their yard, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. If you if you go through the property, you can just walk down. Walk down the hill and you're there, right? Most properties actually stop halfway down the hill, because building on a hill is kind of hard.
So to the group, I would ask, does someone want to watch the back of the house just in case someone goes running out or something like that?
I'll watch it.
Lilith? Maybe we should split up into 2s
Yeah, I'll take watch in the back as well.
Okay, so Lillith and Herc will be in the back. Me and
Okay.
Charlie will go to the front. Okay,
Yeah.
sounds good.
Sure. So you guys take the time to wait until they go. Are you circumventing, going around to the back of the alley, or are you just cutting through a property, or how are you getting?
I think if we walk all the way around
Mhm.
and not just cut through a property, it'd be less suspicious.
Sure. Okay. So you wait a couple moments as the group departs. Lillith and Herkermer, are you doing anything? Are you just walking, or?
I mean, I'm trying to just make myself look like I'm just walking,
Sure.
down the street, average Joe.
Okay.
Would you like a roll of some kind for that? Or?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead and give me your choice of either let's say manipulation. It's gonna be manipulation because you're attempting to, and either etiquette or streetwise.
I got 2 successes.
Okay. And Lilith, are you attempting to blend in or make any outstanding effort to not be conspicuous? Okay.
No, I don't know any better.
Okay, you're just walking.
I'm just walking.
Okay, so it's a couple moments later, you could peek your head through over the fences and down on the property, and you kind of notice that they're about where they need to be. As you approach the back side of the garage, where the alleyway leads out into the main drag. There is the large chain fence, of course, wraps around the garage, and ends up in a large double fence sort of thing with a padlock and a chain around it. And of course there's private property signs and that sort of stuff. What do you do? Do you want to?
Well, Herkermer is gonna take a spot and just kind of make it look like this is a good enough spot for him to stop and take a cigarette break.
Sure.
So he's gonna pull out a cigarette and just light a cigarette. Offers one.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take one too and light it.
Sure. Okay. So you guys are sitting there having a smoke. Hannibal and Charlie, what do you do?
We'll quietly sort of come up to the front door of the house.
Okay. You do have to open a gate to get inside the property, but
I'm going to be watching Hannibal 6.
Okay. So you open the gate, you walk up to the front door. The floorboards kind of creak. You look down, they look like they need to be badly replaced. So you have to kind of watch your step going up to the thing, or to the deck. The deck is just a deposit of everything that gross that you could imagine people would need to throw out, but not actually have the capacity of mind to put it in the garbage. So it's like kind of like this refuse of old food and smelly things that you don't really particularly want to investigate, but it's just like kind of a little miniature garbage dump that surrounds the deck. Wasn't too apparent from the street, and the smell is quite bad. You walk up to the door. The door is got a little window on it, like one of those little like little panels, like small little panels. Window that is covered with what looks to be a dirty bed sheet, and there's a welcome mat that's kind of flipped over, that has like gross slick like mud and gunk on it. Are you just knocking? Because there doesn't appear to be a doorbell.
I'm going to attempt to just open the door and see if it's unlocked.
Okay. You go to try the door open. I'm gonna roll a die here to see if the lock just comes apart. Okay, so the lock maintains itself, but it definitely is locked. But you feel like that loose sort of wiggle of a door handle that needs to be badly replaced, and the latch that's been like slammed too many times or opened very vigorously. So you're sure with just a decent amount of force, you could probably just push it open. Like if you just like lean against it really hard, even.
Question. I'm going to say this real quiet to Charlie.
Sure.
Question we got to ask ourselves is, do we want to be welcomed guests or do we want to enter as we please?
Is this guy one of Cole's crew?
From what I've gathered, yes. He's connected.
I mean, we run a risk either way, but these guys are apparently on what's supposed to be our territory right now.
True. If we talk with them, though, and they're willing to talk, we might be able to get more information. If we just go in the door, they might fight us, they might run.
I like information. Information's a lot more useful than bodies.
Agreed. And I'll pound on the door. Boom, boom, boom.
Takes you a couple moments. The first time that you knock on the door, nothing seems to answer. After about the third time, you hear some creaking and a door open, and from the interior, the door opens and you hear this noise, this like very dingy music. It sounds like really bad audio out of some probably bad speakers. You notice that two fingers pull back the bedsheet, and you see this gaunt, withered face, pale, alive, of a person like who has a glaze over their eyes, and they kind of crack open the door. You hear it, and it cracks open the door, and you're like, "Yeah, who are you?"
We're here to talk to the homeowner.
We already voted, man.
Can you just go get them, please?
Closes the door. You hear the latch, and then you hear kind of shuffle away. You hear his voice pipe up, but it's kind of hard to tell over the noise of the music and the distance, as well as being located in the interior, what he's saying exactly, other than "Hey," and then garble, garble, garble. A couple minutes later, you see, or you hear the door latch open again, and you notice another head come poking up. This individual looks he's like a very large person, with a kind of scraggly beard, and he's wearing a bathrobe and an undershirt and slacks. You notice that he has a lot of dirt on him and things like that. He does not look very hygienic, you say. After he's like, "What can I do you for?" You notice after a couple moments, though, a couple seconds of just looking at him, you start to see his face, which is normal, kind of peek in, and you start to see little things that kind of appear until you are looking at a person who's different. It's almost like a person, he changes in front of your eyes as you kind of start to see under, like he's wearing something over his face that you kind of, oh, you notice this is not real, and then all of a sudden you can kind of see the skin turned blemished and corpse-like. You see beady, dagger white eyes inset with yellow little orbs staring at you. You notice his large mouth, surrounded by the beard, kind of seems a little bit thinner until it disappears, until you're looking at a large mouth that is covered with sharpened teeth that looks like a shark that's gotten ran over by a truck. You see his long, taloned little fingers turn into grotesque, inhuman appendages, and his sweatshirt is covered in blood and gore and gristle. His undershirt is likewise stained the same. You are not looking at a human. Charlie, when you gaze your eyes upon him, you will notice the same thing. And his voice even changes. What do you want?
We're here to talk to you.
He kind of stops for a second. And he looks back at you. Sorry, well, you here for something?
Yes. I'm sorry to inform you, but the Red Queen has given away this territory to others, and we wanted to have a conversation with you.
He starts at that when you say that, and he looks back behind him and looks over in front of him. Shit, what gave it away? Oh, you're pretty good. Yeah. Couldn't see. I need to change that light.
Yeah, sure.
We can't have this conversation here. I'm gonna disturb the clientele, if you know what I mean.
Sure.
What's your name?
I have some friends waiting out back. Would you rather meet us out there?
Oh, yeah, that'd probably be better.
Sure.
Yeah.
You want to invite us in? We'll walk through the house.
Sure,
together.
come on in. This is my palace, my abode. Welcome.
And,
just don't kill anybody, and it's all yours. What's mine is yours. Name's, what's your name again?
I'm Hannibal.
Hi. Nice, good name.
This is Charlie.
Hi, Chuck. Now if I call you Chuck. Name's Smokes. Smokes Malone.
Nice to meet you, Smokes.
Thank you. What, you haven't heard of me? I run the best place in town. Yeah, this city would go dry if it wasn't for this place. Come on.
I've definitely heard some things. And we'll follow him through. Of course, keeping an eye on everything that's going on, because, like, we don't know if we can really fucking trust this guy or not,
Yeah.
so...
He seems to greet you in, like, you know, at like, basically waiting for you to acknowledge him. Once you do acknowledge him, he gives a little nod. Yes, Charlie.
I will acknowledge him. Only in short nods, but otherwise I am keeping my hand ready towards my weapon and keeping an eye on any sort of side rooms that we might pass.
Okay. You don't know, no, he doesn't seem to notice, like, or be very attentive to your hands.
Okay, I'm not being discreet about it.
Oh.
I'm like, this is just a state of caution for me.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to pay it any attention. And, you know, you kind of give him, you kind of give him little nods. And, he just kind of like, and he seems to turn his attention to you, more to Hannibal. And, you know, like, he turns around and he kind of sweeps his arms around. He's like, yeah, this place is great. I thought of it all myself. See over here? This is where they like to do a little bit of heroin. Got a hookup for that guy. If you ever need to dope somebody up, I'm your guy. Right? They call me the Junk King. Anyway, you got your crack over there, and I was gonna start a meth lab, but the last guy burnt it down. Couldn't have that. Anyway, pick your pleasure. It's all here. And he goes kind of walking you through the house, just kind of gesturing. To hear is like, you see my wonderful large kitchen to enjoy everything that you need to enjoy. Locked doors too. And he like looks at the kitchen and dishes are piled up. There's like the refrigerator, which does not have power to it, is swung wide open with moldy food and milk that's been sitting so long it's probably turned to cheese. And he takes you out the back of the house and he leads you down the rickety stairwell. At this point, Lillith and Herkermer, you see this man come out. Lillith, you pick up a sense that there's something not that quite right about this person. Could you give me a sense the beast roll for a moment? And don't forget to include your hunger die, by the way. Okay, so you do not you sense that he is definitely a vampire. He doesn't seem to be that hungry though, because you did roll as many successes as you did. Yeah, it's not a critical success, but I'll say because you rolled so many successes, you do achieve the same effect in this short instance. That he doesn't seem to be. He seems to be well fed, not too close to the beast. You do not see through his disguise, though. To you, he and Herkermer, unless Herkermer deigns to use some sort of a natural perception, he looks like just a large man who's very unhygienic, with a bathrobe and undershirt and slacks, with a large beard that covers his mouth. And he comes kicking open the door, and behind him, Hannibal and Charlie. I'm assuming in that order, Hannibal and Charlie, or come following him behind him. And he's like, "Oh, look at my boutique garden here. Yeah, you can." And you could hear that, and then he turns back and says something to Hannibal. He's like, "Oh yeah, you can definitely hide a body in there if you need to. Not mine, but if you need to. Anyway, let's go." And he takes you down the windy rickshaw steps down to the garage area, and he walks over and he pulls a key and he starts unlocking the padlock, and he opens the eyes. Like, "Those your friends?
Yep.
Come on in."
Where are we going?
Come into the yard.
All right.
Yeah, and he locks the gate behind. You can't have people just coming in whenever they want. But hold on, he puts the key back in his bathrobe, and he walks into the garage, and he just kind of opens it up. Doesn't seem to be locked or anything like that. Where you see basically two cars that have kind of been put up on cinder blocks and emptied out. They're not really being worked on, and he sort of pushes one of the cars, and it looks like it's about almost ready to fall, but then you realize it's being supported from underneath, and he kind of rolls it back, and you see this kind of pit with some stairs that lead into the earth underneath the car that was hiding. Like, "Oh, come out here. This is my special parlor for special guests. Come on." And he goes walking down the holes. So underneath, it's not a very long set of steps, and it leads to a small little tunnel, which takes a sharp turn into a room where you see a low earthen ceiling been dug out of nowhere. You see that the walls are kind of made of some tin roofing from assorted sheds and other things where you might find metal sheeting, and some couches and some Christmas lights that have been kind of strung along and that are hooked to a car battery. So he's like, "Oh, come on, all right." And he sits down. "Now, you were saying something. What did you say? I was so excited. I haven't had a guest for quite some time."
Well, first off, I'll introduce the other members of our coterie. This is Lillith and Herkermer.
Pleasure.
Lillith, Herkermer. This man is Smokes Malone.
Smokes Malone. And when he introduces himself, you see his visage sort of like almost retract within itself, revealing this monstrous creature that's blood-soaked and laced with gore with sharp, jagged teeth. And he's revolting to look at.
Holy fuck! Herkermer jumps back, like physically jumps back.
I'm moving behind Hannibal.
That's not very polite.
It's okay, I'm used to it. I kind of get a kick out of it. Don't worry, I don't bite. Welcome to Smokehouse. That's what I call it. My little garden of Eden, my little patch of the land.
I'll brace Herkermer on the shoulder and then give him a reassuring nod.
Mr. Malone, Smokes if you prefer, is a member of Clan Nosferatu.
Mm-hmm.
I'm only mentioning this, Smokes, because both Lillith and Herkermer are somewhat new, so they're not as familiar with clans and kindred and things of that variety.
Oh, you don't say. Well, don't say. Hey, no better Nosferatu to meet for the first time than this guy. A lot of my cousins, they're not too friendly. They don't like people picking on them, but I kind of own it, It's like, make it your brand. That's what I say.
It's true. The Nosferatu are traditionally a very powerful clan.
Oh, yeah, especially this guy. Let me tell you, it wasn't easy to get everything set up the way I can, and I'm just waiting until all this huss and fuss and paranoia about hunters goes away and people will be lined up, so you're getting in early, let me tell you. What can
Oh, go ahead.
So what brings you to my palace?
Well, from what I was told, and please correct me if I'm wrong, you were a member of Cole's coterie, yes?
My affiliation with Cole kind of came to a harsh end. He's not a man of vision, let me tell you. He had all this property, and, you could get people to run scams on the hospital all night long, let me tell you, and he didn't like that too much. So, I let him be him, and I said, I'll be me, and, we kind of went our separate ways, more or less. I haven't really seen him in a while, but, that's what happens, when you go around with your stick up your ass, let me tell you.
Sure.
He didn't have vision. No vision at all. He just was waiting for his day when he can just go across the river, let me tell you.
Oh, is that what Cole's been up to?
Well, I don't know what he's been up to. He was doing something with his construction outfit. Really obsessed guy. Kept on insisting that he should do these projects, and but I kept asking. I was like, hey, where's the skinny, pal? Give me the drip, you got this has to produce something, it has to go somewhere. And he wasn't about that. He was kind of obsessed with something, I don't know, kept on saying something about the old days coming back or something like that. And he kind of went up a clam on it. He kind of came down. The Red Queen gave him the patch, so he thought that he took that straight to his head and said, I just couldn't do business here if it wasn't the way he wanted to do it. But there was nothing to be gained. There was like, you get a pint a night, maybe. Ever since I've been running my own joint, let me tell you, there's been nothing but honey coming out of these doors.
Well, to be frankly honest with you, Mr. Malone, Smokes, myself and my coterie are now the owners of this territory.
Oh, and, you don't say, huh? Is that what the Queen's giving you these days?
Yes. And so I wanted to have a conversation with you. It seems like you're running a fine business here, and there's no reason for us to have any sort of issue.
I would
say
so.
As long as whatever this business is that you're talking about is above board, shall we say?
Oh yeah. All I do is so to give you, I mean, if you're look, the queen pretends she doesn't know, but nobody can get by in this city without having to come to Smokes Malone. Let me tell you, I've been feeding Kindred in this city for decades. And this is just my latest project, let me tell you. It's going to get around, it's going to get big. Everybody knows about it. They may not say anything because they're jealous. But I've been running this, and this is what we do. We have a couple of, drug people, and we give them what they want. They just want a little peace of mind, that's all. And they're so out of it. You don't even notice. As long as you only take a nibble, don't kill nobody. You could have whatever you want. Just come in here. You have your pick. Right? That's why I have all the people in it. I keep them nice and happy. They go and run scams for me so I can pay for things like property taxes and things like that. And, if I need a new refrigerator, which I need, they go and run some scams for drugs and, come back here and then they deal and, we can keep the cops paid off and and then there's blood for everybody. See, everybody's good. Oh,
where do you pull your dolls from?
Oh, just anybody who comes along and off the street, I vet them, make sure they're not carrying anything, because you don't want to spread that sort of thing,
Yeah.
But after I clear them, they're welcome to come and stay. I make them comfortable. I feed them, and other than the ones who are kind of in the know, I keep most of them kind of dumb. Most of the time, they're so out of it anyway, they wouldn't be paying attention.
Sure. Well, I don't speak for all of my coterie, so obviously we'll want to be able to have a conversation, but I would say that I don't believe we have any ill intention towards you, and it seems like you're providing a service for not only this territory, but for the entire east side.
Oh, yeah. It's an important business, let me tell you. No one else is doing it. I don't know why. They're all afraid of hunters. I ain't seen a hunter in years, and I think that was all a ploy. It's all Camarilla, tower. Trust me, I used to be a part of the Camarilla. It's not nice. You got all these schemes and games and tricks and things, and they can really mess with your mind, some of these people.
I would tell you from my experience, Smokes, the threat of hunters is very real.
Oh, sure.
Maybe not perhaps here in DC, but in other places I've seen it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, I believe all that. But, as long as you tend to your guard and don't use, I'm not on the Facebook or anything,
Sure.
who's going to bother me, right?
Sure.
I keep the cops paid off, and they have a place where they know every once in a while if they need to bust a guy, there you go. Here's your quota. Other than that, I'm allowed to pretty much do what I want.
Well, do you have any questions for us?
Not really. You guys are friends with Nolan, are you? He's one of they all call themselves anarchs, but they're a bunch of traitors, let me tell you. They don't believe in anything. It's name, badge, lipstick, anarchs. I'm the only true anarch in town, as far as I know. What?
What does it mean to you to be an...
Well, you gotta have a vision. And that's what I liked. Most of the people who came over across the river about 10 years ago, they all came over for various reasons, but most of them didn't really believe, right? And now they're just stinking up the place. I came over and I was like, here's opportunity. Let's do it. And I swear, no one listened to Mason. Mason was about creating a society in which we can manage ourselves, right, without having to hurt people. That's what I'm doing. I figure all the children upstairs, and I call them my children. Don't worry about it. It's just, like a pet name, right? But we have a responsibility to take care of them, and just juice them up, and there you go. And then we could take a little bit, and it's no worse for wear. They even think it's a part of the journey or something, some junky thing, and But the rest of them, they just want to. They're all forgotten. They all forgotten Mason's words and her vision. I believed. I kept to it. Let me tell you. So the rest, as far as I'm concerned, even though the Red Queen will probably come around and huff and puff and want to blow your house down, as far as I'm concerned, she can do whatever she wants, but she's not really an anarch in my eyes. Not until, they start doing something.
Well, I can't speak to knowledge or experience amongst the anarchs. Most of us are what you would generally refer to as outcasts, but I can say that most of us are interested in learning.
Oh, yeah, come over here and I'll tell you all about it. I studied everything. I'm one of those guys, when you get into something, you gotta do your research, let me tell you. But I did it, even without YouTube. Here I am. I as far as I'm concerned, I haven't met anybody who knows more about the movement than me. I'm a wealth of knowledge. If they don't mention my name, it's just because they don't want to appear like, just between you and me. It's kind of a thing, They don't want to look like they're weak or something. They don't know. Being shown up by a neonate. Yeah, we got the chain, but I'm here strong, let me tell you.
Seem like a decent kindred.
Mm-hmm.
Myself and the other members of our coterie here is gonna step away and have a conversation based on now interacting with you, and then we'll come back.
Sure. Anonymity is our number one game here. Don't worry about it. If you need to slip in and take a sip, go ahead. On the house.
It's good to know. Appreciate that. So we'll leave the basement place that we are back up to the street, kind of a thing, or at least to the backyard.
Yeah, you do notice that just so there is it looks like there's more subterranean structures that are beyond smokes.
Okay.
But you do find your way out, back the way you came.
Yeah. What do you guys think? Once we get away and
utterly terrified.
Are there, or do all Nosferatu look like that?
Some of them look worse.
I didn't mean about how Smokes looked. I meant by what he said. Are you guys not paying attention to that?
Well, I think he's got an idea, and it's working for him, and it's not bringing harm to people that don't want it.
Agree.
So you guys are good with us working out this deal with Smokes, letting him stay here?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, we got to provide what, 9 a month?
Yeah.
Yeah, and this dude's swimming in it.
It's true. Are you guys comfortable offering sort of protection to him so he can do his business without issue? And he'll pay to us sort of a price to continue doing business here?
I'm sorry, who are we protecting him from?
Other kindred who come in on his racket.
So I don't know. I'm a couple of weeks old. I don't think I can protect anybody.
Okay. Well, I mean it less like I'm expecting you to do something against other kindred, and more meaning in the way of how do you feel about the situation. Because as you learn, you will become more capable. for the time being, it may just be me pulling a lot of the legwork and doing things like that, and that's okay. But eventually, you'll be comfortable enough. I just don't want this to be a moral issue.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm good.
Morally, as much as I disagree with it, this is an opportunity, and I don't think that we can ignore it.
Plus, the more allies we can pull away from coal puts us in a better position, too.
We might even want to suggest that there might be something of a price for any information that would lead us to coal.
Sure. So everybody's good with this?
Well, I mean, how much we going to charge him?
Pint, maybe? 2? I don't know. Well, whatever seems like a comfortable number to him. I don't expect him to pay us all 9 pints.
And if we can acquire the machines to do it, I can make sure that the blood we send out is clean.
Sure.
But that's a big ask and a lot of money.
I've got the money, and I have the resources to acquire that machinery.
Yeah, I was
Well
gonna say,
then.
all hooked up that way. So we'll head back.
You come back in, and he seems to have turned on an old television set and is watching some sort of show through like kind of sketchy sort of signal. You see a cord kind of running up into the dirt. Looks like he's tapping out of the cable, and then he's like, "Oh!" He clicks off. "Oh, sorry, I got it on TiVo. It's okay. You didn't interrupt us. So you make your you guys have your little chit chat, get a drink."
We didn't get a drink, but we had a chit chat, and I know that we just recently acquired the territory, but we just want to make it very plain and very simple that we have no issue with the business you're doing here, and we want you to be able to continue, understanding that you have our blessing.
Okay.
We would ask that you would be willing to offer a portion of blood monthly to help us pay the tithe.
Oh yeah, sure. If you want to hitch on to this ride, I'll more and help you out with a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Yeah, you can come on in. I don't have. I mean, unless are you talking like coming and feeding yourself, or is this, if you are you going to be paying? Was that coal used to have to pay a tithe?
Yes.
Or something.
So we have a monthly tithe that we're responsible to pay.
Oh, I
and
get
so
you.
That's basically what I'm asking is if you could give a portion of that blood. You don't have to do the full amount, but a portion of it would be greatly appreciated and helpful.
Oh well, yeah, sure. Go ahead and I think I got a couple of mason jars out back. I can kind of hook up and deliver it to you. You have to be quick though. That stuff thicks. Real.
Sure. It's
Oh.
not something we need right this second. We have roughly a month to come up with it, but I just wanted it to be you to be aware.
Oh yeah,
to make sure that you're okay with it.
Oh yeah, no worries. Yeah, I'll even put a label on it for you. Don't forget the branding. That's the important bit. People. I think once people have the courage to speak about me, then you'll find that everybody knows about Smokes Malone.
Sure.
But yeah, if you need I get it. Death and taxes, right?
Yeah.
But don't worry, when, the rest of the real anarchs come around and, the order returns to what it should be. And, I'm recognized for the genius and vision that I have. You won't have to pay taxes. Don't trust me.
Sure. I think, just speaking from what I've seen, that a territory of kindred mutually working together is something to strive for here.
I agree.
And I think it's an attainable goal as long as we all are communicative
Oh
of
yeah.
our varied issues.
Oh
and
yeah.
no one gets selfish.
I agree. Why do you think I put the sign out front? You know what I mean? Like, not the sign, but like, you know what I mean, right? You know, the little tag. I mean, nobody else in this town will give to thy neighbor. You know, we're anarchs here. We're supposed to be sharing.
Yeah.
Well, if
you don't mind, we will add our brand to the brand outside so that people know that we are aware and we approve. And then we'll be on our way.
Okay, just make sure that you're not like put it, like people know the smokehouse, so just make sure it's discreet if that's okay. I don't mind, sharing my brand name with you, but like, I think that each person's success should, be recognized.
Of course, we're not talking about putting anything over the top of your brand. This will be still your home and your place. I'm simply talking about that if other kindred should see it and they wonder, I want to be able to allow them to know that we are working together.
Oh, I get you. Name recognition's hard to start in the beginning, but don't worry. If you attach your thing to mine, then you'll find your reputation skyrocketing, let me tell you.
Sure.
Hey, you gonna eat that? And you see a rat scurry around, and he's like, hey, come here. And he gets up and he runs over and grabs the rat. And he's like,
all you.
And you notice like he's chewing it around very openly, mouth chewing, and bits of it are kind of falling out. And he's like, all right. Thanks for coming. Hey, don't forget, if you need a sip, have one on the way out on me. And there's some warm beer in the fridge, too, if you're into that.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Smokes. And I'll reach out and shake his hand.
A pleasure, Dad. I'm looking forward to bringing you up. Don't worry. Like I said, if you need to know anything, it's old Smokes.
And then we'll head out.
Okay.
I'll reach over and shake his hand, too.
How you doing?
Yeah, I'll shake his hand as well.
He'll shake everybody's hand vigorously. With you, he's like, he kind of looks at you for a second to see if you're like, your actual like demeanor is sort of like recognizing him, not just being standoffish. And then once he sees it, you shake his hand. All right, I'll give you a chance. Don't worry, I thought about it. Welcome. And bye.
Have a good one.
And you guys walk out, and you hear TV turn back on, some music. You think he's watching Dancing with the Stars, but you're not sure. And he doesn't unlock the back gate, but you guys are able to freely, walk out of the front of the building, back onto the Night City street. You notice the drug addict that was answered the door has been replaced by a different one, and she's like, thanks for coming. While you were in the house and observing both as you guys went through, and you notice that there's like, mattresses where people are passed out with needles still kind of stuck in their arm, or you notice there's some people who are crowded around, like smoking, and it's definitely like a drug den. People go, you notice a person cooking in the kitchen as you guys are walking around, setting up different paraphernalia to be consumed. Yes, Herkermer.
While Herkermer is walking out of the house, I would like to use a merit of mine called Bloodhound.
Sure.
Which basically allows me to walk through and pick a target.
Mm-hmm.
And I make a roll to see if I can smell the resonance of the blood in that vessel.
Oh, absolutely. Go ahead. It's pretty easy because it's inundated, but so it's gonna be 2 successes for you.
Well, let's see. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay, yeah, you definitely smell it. The resonance. You feel the emotions of.
I'm specifically trying to find choleric blood.
I believe that's the one I'm going to look up here. There's a lot of melancholy. There is I'd say choleric is excitement, right? It doesn't
Yeah, I
actually
think
have the
so.
emotions that are associated with this. I need to get another chart.
I thought sanguine was excitement and happiness and joy.
Addicted, active, anger, forward, passionate, scared, and much.
Choleric is ill-tempered.
You're getting phlegmatic, which is lazy, apathetic, calm, controlled, and sentimental. So you're feeling a lot of sloth. So,
Okay.
So basically, you're getting the sense of just being dragged down by the place. The energy in here is not high because people are so out of it. Some people are sleeping. A lot of people are lost in their own sort of like haze.
Okay. But did not find choleric blood. Okay.
You would typically find choleric blood in angry, excited, or people who are adrenaline junkies or that sort of thing. Like if you go to like a nightclub, people are having dancing really excited, or if they're on drugs, they'd say like speed or something like that. But this seems to be not those general type of drugs.
All right. Well, that means the last 2 things of this far reach I got are the last ones I get for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So I need choleric blood for that to work, to make more of it.
Yeah.
Go to a fight club.
Could do that.
It's okay.
So we'll head back to the car and unload the weapons and gear other than my normal just one piece.
Mm-hmm.
And load up everybody else's extra weapons as well. Glad we didn't need them, but
Yeah, I will make sure to give you your gun back.
You're welcome to hold on to it if you want to, but it's up to you.
Nah, I figure if we're going to get in a scrap, I'm actually going to get in a scrap. I'm better with my hands than I am with a pistol.
Sure.
So, where do you find yourselves going now, or doing?
If I could get a ride over to Water Street, at least for me, unless we're doing something super important.
Well, we have a lot of things that we need to do, and a lot of them are very important, so I guess it's up to you.
All right. So, what are we doing?
I think we need to have a conversation. From the information I gathered, there was some strange construction that was done in the hospital, in the foundations, and things of that variety, and it makes me sort of wonder what was actually done down there. As Kindred, it seems like the ideal way to cover up passageways or hidden rooms or, things of that variety. And it's been sort of at the back of my mind. But at the same time, it's like no one's seen Cole. There's a few connections that Cole has to the construction company, but I'm not sure which way to go.
Maybe they buried him in the foundation.
You think that his own coterie killed him and buried him?
Could be.
Oh, you mean like you think he might have gone into torpor or something?
Maybe. Or they're hiding something and that's why they haven't been around as much.
Sure. I guess another sort of important conversation we need to have is what are we going to do when we find coal?
I don't know.
My-
Talk.
Personal opinion would be that we should put him into torpor if he won't go willingly, and bring him before the Red Queen.
We're gonna die.
I think we could take him.
I don't even know who this guy is. I don't even know how I can put him into torpor. I have no idea what's going on.
That's true. I don't know exactly how to do that either.
Think of it like beating someone into unconsciousness. It's like vampire unconsciousness.
Right.
And if we
So,
kill him
like,
back,
crosses, holy water, stakes, silver, all that stuff.
Stakes do stuff. Everything else is more superstition. I've heard of a few individual kindred who have had weird shit with stuff like that, but there's no overall sort of, we're all afraid of crosses or something.
I'm reacting badly to the silver.
See, there you go, right? So I have no issue with silver, but Lillith does, right? So it's more of an individual thing.
All right.
Stakes, though, is something that affects all of us. I can't speak to that about you, Herkermer, because I don't know enough about Thin Bloods to know what that would do to you. But generally speaking, kindred who are not thin blooded, if you put a stake into their heart, it puts them. It sort of paralyzes them.
Hmm.
Do
Well, I
we
mean,
have...
I tried to cut my arm open with a knife one time, and that didn't work.
I wonder.
So,
Do we have
feel? Sorry.
stakes and hammers? It's okay.
What were you gonna say, Lilith?
Do we have stakes and hammers, or do you realize how hard it is to get a stake through somebody's chest?
Yeah, I mean that's the point that I'm making is that stakes work, but they're not. It's not something that can be used easily. It's kind of one of those spur of the moment sort of things. I generally, if I was to want to take out a kindred, I would just beat them into torpor.
Do you know how to use a crossbow?
Sure.
Will you teach me?
Sure.
Okay, cool.
Herkermer,
huh?
when you sleep, do you feel as if your soul is being drug into this empty blackness, this falling pit that you can't claw your way out of?
No.
So it's a normal sleep then.
No. It's just kind of nothing.
I don't know. From my perspective, I haven't had a sleep that felt like I slept when I was, living. It always feels like I'm being dragged into that state of death.
Well, we are dead.
What I'm saying is it hasn't felt the same since I've been alive, and I'm wondering if, as Thin Blood, your sleep feels the same as it did when you were alive.
Oh. I'm gonna have to go with no, because I used to remember my dreams if I had them. I don't know if I dream anymore.
Sorry. That was just a moment of my curiosity, everyone.
No, hey, ask away, because I got plenty of questions. Like, do we know what this Cole guy looks like? Do we know anything about him other than his name?
I think we know what his clan is. He's a Toreador, if I remember right.
Yeah, I heard that. That's one of the ones I'd heard before.
What's the story with them?
Clan of the Rose, they're fanatics of art. They enjoy being pretty.
They're obsessive.
Very much so. Vain creatures. Or at least that's what I've been told. I've only met one, I think. Seemed down to earth.
Charlie, you do remember meeting one that was a part of Helen's coterie. And she was very polite and very attractive and seemed fixated on social graces. That's all you remember from her. You don't even remember her name. She was just gestured to you and she said hi.
So, some other things. I'll have started the car and be driving at this point.
Sure.
Kind of back towards the hospital area, I guess.
Okay.
Something I think that we should think about and figure out is, well, first off, let me explain to both Herkermer and Lillith that it's fine that we know where you live, but generally speaking, don't share that information with other kindred, with other licks. It's very dangerous information for people to openly know. What I would suggest we do is we find a place here in our territory and have it be sort of a hub for each of us, for all of us. This coterie, and a place where others could meet us if they need to, or where we could sleep for a night if it gets really close to sunrise or something like that, you know? A safe space for us all mutually to be, so that in the future, if we end up meeting with people or we need to give them a location, we're not taking them to our private places. Does that make sense?
So I need to get another hangout place.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah. Good luck with that. I can't help much. I don't have money.
Well, something I want to point out to you, Herkermer, is money isn't everything. And there are things that you can do. I mean, as you said, you can walk in daylight. So, you could do building scouting for us. You could let us know what areas of town is there a lot of people during one part of the day, but not in the other. You could, look at interesting pieces of property so that we kind of generally know where we might want to buy or take or whatever, right? So, you are very useful. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
Well, I wasn't saying that I was useless. I was just saying that I'm broke.
Sure.
I would almost rather be broke if I could walk in the sunlight.
Well, you can.
Once.
Just like we can drink lava. Once. No, I can put some effort into that. That doesn't seem like too big a chore.
I don't know what you're thinking about as far as what kind of a place.
I was
However,
just about to ask.
You scout it out. I'm more than willing to foot the bill.
All right. So what are we looking for in a house?
I guess I want something that blends in. You know, something that's not going to draw a lot of unneeded attention. But has enough space for all of us, as well as the ability to, if we need to add more space to it, we could, right? Those are my only thoughts.
Anyone else?
As long as it doesn't look anything like that place we were just in, I am fine.
I mean, we could probably rent a storefront, maybe.
Well, I was thinking about finding like a nice house in a suburban neighborhood. You know,
No, I mean, we have I'm speaking of specifically this 9-block radius around St. Peregrine's, right? That's the name of the hospital. Yeah, so it needs to be within our territory, which is this 9-block radius. So, I mean, there's not a lot of space, but I figured you could do some intensive looking, regarding buildings, and then once you kind of find some places you like or you think could be useful, then we can start lurking into them through other means, Charlie's means, etc.
All right, I'll give her a whirl.
St. Peregrine and the accompanying medical campuses, which are rather large buildings, do take up about 40% of the 9-block radius, right? So they're very large buildings that accompany, the exterior offices and hospital or satellite hospital facilities that the hospital often needs. They're much newer buildings. St. Peregrine's itself is obviously an old building, as I described. But the rest of the 9-block area, which is leaves you about like 40%, would be like, why can't I do math right now? It'd be like 6 blocks, 5 blocks, something like that, right?
A little over 5.
Yeah, 5, little over 5 blocks is houses where some people live, but also quite a bit of them are office spaces, like small office spaces, 1 or 2 story ones, or houses that have been converted into offices and things like that. So there's quite a bit of office space available, as well as some houses or things like that you could probably find and make a bid on.
I think an office space would at least work, right? Because the idea is, why are people going in and out all hours of the night? I think an office space would help cover up a lot of those reasons,
I will point out,
or house.
I will point out that Portview Construction, I mentioned this before, but maybe it didn't, Portview Construction is actually located within the 9-block radius, the actual building for it, which is an office building that you guys checked out. It's in a 4-story office building. The construction equipment, all that kind of stuff is not within their territory. All that stuff's like offsite, obviously.
All right. I will set my eyes to searching.
You said that you had questions, Herkermer.
I have lots and lots of questions. I mean, but none of them. But I don't feel like digging into your diary. Because the questions I want to ask are like those deep questions. Like, what's it going to feel like to never have kids again?
I don't know. Never had them in the first place.
Yeah, me either. Maybe I can. I don't know. I haven't tried.
That'd be scary.
Yeah, I don't know what that would turn out, though.
How thin can a thin blood get?
Good question. How thick can a thick blood get?
I'd answer that one, but that does cross a line.
Hmm. What do you mean?
A taboo among kindred.
Well, see, now you done teased me with it. See, now you gotta tell me.
The taboo among kindred is that you never eat another kindred. I can't remember the term that they used for it, but it was something diabolical.
Amaranth is what I was.
Huh.
Amaranth.
But
It's like a flower. That's what I. I don't know why though.
huh.
Hmm.
I don't think that's the term I've heard for it, but I don't remember, but it's a heavy taboo, one that marks you for all other kindred for the rest of your existence. Apparently,
Huh.
one can become slightly more by doing so.
Okay, so note to self: don't eat anyone.